McIndoe.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. It's a pleasure to follow my friend Dr Prasad in this debate, and I acknowledge his genuine interest in these issues and his constructive contributions during our Select Committee procedures. But I also just want to pick up on a point that he was talking about a minute ago, because he talked about a moral code, and he inferred that members on this side of the House have this underlying sense that people on a benefit are lazy. And I want to make it very clear that that is not the case. But when we talk about a moral code, it is very important to remember that governments have an overriding moral obligation to ensure that every dollar of the taxpayers' money that we spend is spent responsibly and appropriately and fairly. Because it is not our money, it is the money that comes out of the pockets of hard-working New Zealanders, many of whom are on very low incomes, who work long hours to earn that money. Right. And we have a strong moral obligation to ensure that we don't take one more cent from their pockets than is absolutely deserved. And so, Mr Speaker, it is for that reason that I'm very pleased to lend my support for this very important bill that has come before the House. Mr Speaker, reforming our welfare system to create incentives for those who can move off welfare and into work was a major campaign plank for the National Party in the 2008 general election. It was certainly a theme that resonated very strongly in my electorate and as I knocked on the doors around Hamilton West. And it's a policy that continues to generate regularly favourable comment from those who take a close interest in how our society responds to the needs of those who, for whatever reason, do not have paid employment. Mr Speaker, like our Prime Minister and our excellent Minister of Social Development, I am firmly committed to preserving a compassionate, fair and responsive welfare system in New Zealand. There are tens of thousands of New Zealanders who have suffered or will in future suffer significant setbacks or health problems and so on, and I will always argue that a decent society should respond to their needs and circumstances as generously as possible. I acknowledge the contribution of my Waikato colleague, the Honourable Nanaia Mahuta, who is a thoughtful member, but I need to correct her in the point she concluded her speech with, and that is the inference that those who genuinely seek paid work and are unable to secure it will be penalised under this future-focused bill. In her remarks at the outset of this debate this afternoon, the Minister stressed that no such threat or concern exists. Genuine job seekers will continue to access the unemployment benefit. That is, of course, exactly what it's there for. Opposition members on the committee have expressed concern that the bill will hurt New Zealand's most vulnerable families and exacerbate the gap between wealthy and poor families. The logic of such an argument is seriously flawed. Yes, it is possible that beneficiaries for whom paid employment is available and who could reasonably be expected to undertake it, but refuse to do so, will be out of pocket. But that will be their decision, and I fail to see why hard-working, low-income earners in my electorate should be required to bail them out. Because that is the inevitable consequence of healthy people of reasonable working age who do not have young children to care for during the daytime, refusing to undertake honest paid employment. And the opposition member's logic is even more off-beam when one considers that those who are on benefits and move into the paid workforce will increase their household income as well as enjoy the other benefits that accrue from increased independence and the self-esteem that regular employment generates. Mr Speaker, it is absolutely fundamental to this bill and this government's intention that we want people to help themselves, and we will give them as much support as is possible and as is necessary to make that happen. Let's look at the potential benefits of this bill. Over a course of a 4-year period, it is estimated that this bill could result in a saving of $100 million. Mr Speaker, we have 9,000 sickness beneficiaries at this moment who have been assessed as capable of undertaking some part-time work. Not being forced down into the mines for 50 hours a week, just undertaking some part-time work. And the health benefits of undertaking that work are considerable and well proven. Mr. Speaker, 50,000 more people will be subject to the part-time work obligations under this bill. So let's look at the figures. There are currently 345,000 beneficiaries in New Zealand. 43,000 of those are on the DPB, with families, all of whose children are now over the age of 6 years of age. There are 12,000 unemployment beneficiaries who have been on that benefit for more than a year. We're simply saying that they must continue to prove their eligibility for it and to be available to undertake work when it becomes available. There are 29,580 sickness beneficiaries who have been on that benefit for more than a year, and 85,000 people who receive the invalid's benefit. These are significant numbers in a country of 4.3 million people with an ageing population where there are huge demands upon the dwindling taxpayer's dollar. Many hard-working people, Dr. Prasad, in my electorate, put in very long hours to care for themselves and their families, and I am constantly impressed and humbled by their efforts and very supportive of them. Without their efforts, we would not have the comprehensive welfare system that this country enjoys. So I close by repeating the point that I started with. It is their taxes that they pay on their hard-earned wages that fund the system. It's our responsibility to ensure that every dollar we take from them in taxes is spent fairly and wisely. That's what this social assistance future-focused bill is all about. My constituents tell me it's exactly the right approach for a responsible government charged with spending taxpayers' money to take. And I commend the bill to the House.
Very well said.